Hello, everybody. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Coach Henry with Positive Traction podcast. And as you all know, I love introducing my guests by basically saying these magical words. Who are you? So, who's on there today with Coach Henry on Positive Traction?
Well, hello, you guys. My name is Yaritza. I am the owner of Impact Building, and I am very honored to be here. I know that we've talked about it, so I'm very happy that I'm finally here with you.
I'm very happy to have you, our guest, and all those watching and those listening. Yulisa has a great story, and I'm excited to really hear the whole thing. One of the things about the guests is they know a little bit of what's going to happen, but the rest is going to just be flow. So we're going to start with the most powerful question that I want to really get to understand. You are a young female married mother, entrepreneur, Hispanic. With all that being said, that's a whopper.
That's a lot.
What made you want to get it? Rid of that. What made you want to get into being in the business of construction, remodeling, real estate? How we get here?
Okay, well, it's actually it's an accumulation of a lot of ideas, a lot of creativity, and a lot of talents that I feel like I had, and it was very hard to contain it to an office. I did run
Yeah.
a family business for 10 years for my dad, which still is still
Yes.
standing. It's still here in the main area. I sold cars for 10 years, so I was in the business for a very long time, from financing
That's
to
awesome.
business structure to everything that you can think of. I set it up. My dad and our agreement was that he was only going to buy the cars and fix them, and I was going to sell them, finance them, and keep the business afloat. So that that was tricky. That was hard because coming out of high school, I was ready to go into nursing school because that was my passion, helping people. I was like, oh, I really want to help. I
Yeah.
want I want to I want to dedicate my time doing that. I tried that. I was doing the college. I was paying out of pocket, and eventually, my dad was like, look, there's a few businesses that I want to do, and there's no better person to do them with you. So and the entire year, all while as I was growing up in high school, I was always helping him run his, at the time, mechanic shop. And I was always there on the weekends, on the nights, because he didn't understand English that well. Reading all his emails,
Yeah.
ordering his parts, everything that had to do with the language barrier. So when he offered
Wow.
me to work together, it was a no brainer for me. Me and him had
Yeah.
a really tough relationship growing up because he was very strict and hard. But
Yeah.
working with him changed everything. I saw him in a different light whenever that happened. So I started selling cars for 10 years, and I started seeing how many people would not be able to pay their car notes during the holidays or in the slower times, and I started seeing my job as more not only a salesperson, but a person that could have a little bit of influence over my clients' lives as far as talking to them and being like, hey, be honest, like, how can I help you? Or what's the problem? Why is your payment not on time? Or your insurance is defaulting? When these people are very hardworking, have big down payments, and really honest people, I got to know them and their family. So over
Yeah.
time, I realized that a lot of these people were general contractors. The majority of them were contractors, so I would have to vet them to make sure that they would qualify for a car. We didn't use any in-house. We didn't use any financing companies. My dad was opposed, like he was against that. He was like, whatever I can buy with my own money, that's what you're selling. If I can't afford the newer vehicles, we're not going to have them, right? So I was like, okay, I was like, that's fine. So that's how we grew. We grew our clientele, and our clients started. They grew from being able to afford like a $3,000 down payment to 10,000 to 15,000, and we kept growing it like that. And my clients just became
Awesome.
a lot more interesting. A lot of them were repeat clients, and they just got very comfortable with me. I was able to help them understand their contracts, talk to them about their business. I would make phone calls for them when builders wouldn't pay them on time. I started helping them set up emails because I was like, "Hey, we have a new processing system. Now you can pay me through a link. You don't have to drive 30 minutes to come see us." And a lot of them didn't understand how it worked, because we're on 290, so they used to drive by from Houston
Yeah.
to Manor. They were like 2 hours away, and I would tell them like, "Hey, you don't have to drive
Yeah.
all the way over here. Like, there's ways."
Yeah.
And just teaching our Hispanic community how to use their time wisely. I saw
Yeah.
that. a lot of these people were so good at what they were doing, they just needed someone to guide them through that barrier of being able to communicate more efficiently. Eventually, a lot of my employees started referring people to the dealership for business help, and that would interfere a lot
Yeah,
with my car sales because I would have a lot of people bringing in contracts or help me file for my I-10 and different things that I did not plan on doing, and it would take up time, right? So my dad was like, you really have to figure out what you're going to do. He's like, you can take people on all day long, but try to like no descuides el trabajo. He would always tell me that. He's like, you can do whatever you want, but just stay focused. And
yeah,
that's how I grew my company now to what it is, because a lot of the people that we sold cars to are now my employees. They, as soon as I left the
that's
dealership,
awesome.
when I was leaving, my dad used to always tell me, if you leave, I'm closing the business. If you leave, there's no business. And I was like, no, dad, that's not the way it works. I was like, things that I can do, someone else can do really well also, you know? And it took me a very long
Yeah,
time to
yeah,
have my dad understand that. And I feel like in our Hispanic community, that's a fear that all of us have, that each one of us has, because we don't want to let go of the control. Or if something's working
yeah,
really, really well, they're like, oh, maybe I should do it because what if they don't do it correctly? And that's something that I had to struggle with my dad for a very long time. And I see that now how it
uh,
transfers over to general construction. A lot of my
yeah,
employees run amazing companies. And for a lot of our projects, they would be the ones running around trying to help me do everything. And then I would tell them, like, you have really
yeah,
good project managers. Like, let's get them to contribute, let's get them to help. And
yeah,
now Impact Building is a really good company because not only are they my subcontractors, but they're their own bosses, and they're
yeah.
consistently busy, and they do really good work. So that's kind of how I got
Well, I
into.
I love that, and I want to recap it because I think it's important. Because basically, you started by saying originally you wanted to be a nurse because you said you wanted to help people.
Right.
And you are. You're just maybe not helping you medically like you initially thought, but you're helping them in another part because next to health, the most important thing for people is money and business after
Mhm.
that, right? And you're helping them because you saw a need, particularly in the Hispanic community among them, but because of your good English and your entrepreneur spirit and your good business sense, you're able to bridge that into all walks of life and all people, all clients, including us as Brownstone. I mean, we cross over in business ourselves. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And with that being said, I think it's great. And I wanted to hit a couple points because I want people listening. So it's not easy. So let's get real with this because the father, daughter, father, son, any relationship with a parent in business is not always easy, especially respectfully in the Hispanic culture, because there's a lot of, como tú dices, pride, old school beats new school. So give me a scenario that you think people, men or women, can relate to and how you got through it or how you get through it, por favor.
A lot of it was I teach people now how to run businesses with their family members, wives, how to do invoicing, the whole deal. Because working with my dad was very tough. He taught me everything that he could until I had to hire a business coach. And even that was very hard for me to understand, because I was like, yeah, I'm going to be leaving for a two
Yeah,
week neurolinguistic seminar. And he was like, eso para qué? You don't need that. Like, you're going to be absent for 2 weeks. Like, the business is going to go down. Like, we need you here. And I was like, no, like, this is necessary for me to continue growing. If I want to make more money, I need to learn more. I can't stay in the same.
yeah,
And I feel like that's what's really tough about working with your family members, that a lot of times they see you doing very well, especially the Hispanic community. Once we're doing something really good, they're like, no le muevas. Like, just keep doing the same thing that you're doing.
yeah.
And I think
But
with a
on
lot.
that,
Mhm.
I'll say, I want to make a note on that because see, on that note, had you not challenged it, you wouldn't have got to the good place. That's the irony of it, right? If you didn't go get a business coach, even when I saw you at the trade show last year, all the things that you do to ultimately help you be better, you I feel a respectable thing that you've done and do is you're going to continue to improve yourself, and I think that's such a great inspiration. So as your dad started seeing that, what is a tip that you do to help people that do work with family that have a hard time seeing change? What would your advice be?
We have to be very precise with the way that we use our time and making sure that everything that we do has a result that's attached to the action. That way, if there's any feedback or any fight back, you can always be like, no, but look at what I actually did out of that. Or, with my family, that's the way it
Okay,
goes.
okay.
Everything that you do has to be attached to some sort of result in order for you to be able to justify why you're doing something. And that just makes a
Yeah,
lot of sense now. So when I came back from
yeah, yeah,
training and I would handle emotions better, I would handle conflict better. I had different tools in my belt. My dad was like, "Oh, that's different. You don't get it. Like that didn't bother you." I'm like, "Well, and I would show him. And then as I started going to
yeah,
different seminars with my business coach, he would encourage me. He would be like, "Yeah, no, no, go. I got it. I'll sit at the office or I'll have someone be here." So it was that more than anything, being very driven with the way that we use our time and making sure that you can have something to show for, especially if you're
yeah.
putting,
No, that makes a lot.
Mhm. Especially if
Yeah,
you're
that
putting,
makes a lot of sense. And what's that? One more time?
I said, like, especially like whenever you're putting time and money for such a long period of time, 2 weeks leaving any business is a long time.
Yes, yes. So I think that's good. Okay, so now to give people a little bit of content about you, can you share a little bit about your personal life so they understand that the second part of what I wanted people to understand? So you answered some of the challenges, what got you into the business, and we'll come back to some of that because I still have some more things I think people can really take from you. But give us a little, give our people a little bit of background about you, your family and your kids and all that.
Well, I have 4 kids. One of them is my bonus kid. He is 10 years old now. He turns 11 next month. And my daughter is 10 as well. She's been with me since day one. She's only with me her entire life. She's been with us. And I also have a 3-year old and a 1.5-year old. So the house is very busy. It's extremely leaving sometimes is a challenge, because I have to coach my kids every day and I have to tell them, oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to come back, or I have to leave extremely early before they wake up. And the reason that it's like that is because they got used to coming with me to work a lot. If I had to go check on
Uh,
job sites, I would bring them with me. If I had to go
yeah.
meet clients where I just had to pick material up, or meetings that I knew they would be calm and they would be good around me, I would take them with me. And now, as our company is getting busier and there's more aspects I do more things throughout the day than just construction. I can't bring them anymore. So a lot of that has been
Yeah.
retraining everyone at home to know that we're available. But we're not always. They can't always come with us. I think that's been the hardest thing with my kids. They all got so just used to coming
Yeah.
to the dealership or to the house. So yeah, that's been a little challenging.
Well, I love it, and I share that because I think it's important for people because again, all of us as individuals sometimes we judge a book by its cover, right? We assume that we look at life through our eyes, and our eyes are not always fair. And part of this whole positive traction podcast is to give people inspiration that how you again have to manage not only work sites and contractors and subs and clients and investors, which I'm going to have you get into, but you have to manage a household. So in juggling the 4 kids, your husband, your home life, your family life. What is what you feel is a quality or qualities that help you do that, and so you can be present for everybody that needs you?
At home, it's more, we call it a reset routine at night, right? When we're at home and the kids drop their blocks or their toys, or Daniela wants to color and then do a puzzle at the same time, right? I've gotten so very used to not picking everything up as soon as they're done or as soon as I feel like they're done. Right now, it's more like if she wants to put it up, that's fine. If not, at the end of the night, me and Oscar clean everything up and then everything goes away where it should. We notice that doing that allows us to be more present and not consistently focusing on all the little things that we might see as a mess or as disorder, or because our brains are very equipped to, if we have order, we're happier. And a lot of times as parents, when you see that there's a lot of things going on in your house, and then your brain's thinking about work, and then you're thinking about whatever it is that's going on, it's really easy to get sidetracked and be like, Daniela, pick that up, or Daniela, don't do that, you know? And then we've gotten
Yeah.
really good at not
Yeah.
doing that. We've gotten really good at, oh, it's okay, déjala jugar. Like at night, we'll do a reset, and then the house has been a lot happier like that, because Daniela is not just, she'll work on a puzzle for 30 minutes and then leave for 10 and come back another 20 minutes. And that's been, it's been a challenge learning how to work with each other and balance the way that both of our brains are is the tricky part when you're married and when you have kids that like to do different things. Daniela's very
Yeah.
artsy. Oscar loves music, and he's tiny. He's 1.5, but he loves anything that has sound or anything that has music. Daniela loves everything that
Yeah.
has to do with art or puzzles. Like she can do a 500-piece puzzle, and she's 3. um,
Wow.
she's
Wow.
incredibly good at that, and we didn't know that until I bought some puzzles and she finished them. It was like a 70-piece puzzle, and she fixed it in 20 minutes. And that kind of
Wow. That's
that like blew
incredible.
our mind, right? Because really, that's really interesting. So
Yeah.
we don't mess with her stuff anymore. We let her be, and then at the end of the night, we'll pick up. That's what I feel like it has helped me and Oscar both stay on track and be more present when we're there. Mhm.
Well, I love that. And it sounds to me, what I love you said is you're being intentful to your audience. In this case, you're talking about these two particular ones in the sense of the different personalities, and maybe for her, like you said, 30 minutes in the puzzle, walk away for 10 minutes and come back, is instead of like, okay, I'm going to finish, put in the box, put it back on the shelf, and then come back when she's not done. And I like that you have a name for it, reset, which is great. So then, how do you feel that you then find time for your balance? Because every time I see you and we cross over, you seem to be there and present and aware of things. So what's like a business efficiency tip that you feel you use that can help others in being efficient, like what you seem to be have going for you?
Um, I learned to be very mindful with the way that my brain works sometimes, because I like to do a lot of different things. And I am always involved in different areas. I feel like me using my schedule and having all the colorful things on my schedule makes me feel really happy, because I know that I'm using my time correctly. I schedule down to what's family time, what's personal, what's impact. I'm involved with a few other groups in Austin that are all over Texas, so it requires us to travel every single week. So using my calendar very well helps me. And then sometimes also just stopping and breathing, letting like the oxygen go to my brain so my brain can get that energy. I feel like sometimes I'm just going, and then
Yeah,
I tend to lose energy sometimes, where I'm just like, maybe I can wait. And then I'm like, no, 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 I can't do that, you know? So then I have to breathe
yeah,
again, get that energy flowing again, and just reminding myself to hold that energy state that I want to be in. Like if you can harness that energy level at all times and just remind yourself that you can hold that energy for a very long period of time, and you can do that over and over again whenever you feel low or whenever you feel discouraged or tired, that helps a
yeah.
lot. Mhm. And
No,
that's very
that's
weird,
some
but
that's some great.
that's the way it works.
No, but no. Well, that's the thing is, it's also finding, right? Life is a marathon for most of us, and it's different phases of a race, right? When you start off a race, you're working at a different speed in the middle of the race, the third part of the race, and at the end of the race. Now, life is a combination of many marathons, right? When you were single, there was a marathon. When you're being married, kids, every season. So now that you guys are working, what is one of the goals for impact that you feel you have? Like as you're resetting, we're coming up on the last part of the year, and what are some of the hopes, and then what's some of the steps that you're doing to prepare for whatever it is that you feel the outcome is going to be?
This year taught us that impact has the ability to help a lot of companies not only stay consistently busy, but grow as an individual, as a company. I know that next year our focus is going to be, I know exactly what projects I'm very fond of and I love to do. I know how well my crews work now. This year taught us a lot as to who is extremely responsible. I know where to place people at. This is what's been helping
Right.
us lately.
Yeah.
Placement. I have a lot
Yeah.
of painters. I have a lot of framers. There's so many different crews because we are a general contracting company. But this year taught me how to
Yeah.
place people individually where they will succeed better. I know some
Yeah.
painters are extremely cautious and meticulous. There's other painters that do very well in bigger projects, and that has saved us a lot of time and error this year. Next year, I'm
Yeah.
going to focus a lot on ensuring that we can become a general contracting company that you want to work for. I want our
Right.
Hispanic community, all of our community, to be able to know that if they apply to be a subcontractor for impact building, not only is it work, consistent work, but it's also business tools. It's also going to be a lot of resources that they can use throughout the year. I want to be more than a general contracting company. We want to be there as a partner company that they can rely on all the time.
I
So that's
love that.
the option.
Well, I love that goal. I do. I love the clarity that you speak about it. You do. You speak with very good clarity, very assurance of it. And I think, at the end of the day, you're a matchmaker for businesses to businesses. You, like you said, you might have four painting companies or people, and you need to assess from, let's just use brownstone for a moment, and the type of house, who goes where and what's best. Because, like you said, you might have the best painter in the world, but they don't move very fast, and the job needs to get done faster. So then there's another group that you can do that with, etc. So I think by you having those goals and clarity will help you, like you said, save time, stress, and ultimately hopefully make more money for everybody because of time and well spent and less mistakes, like you said. So what are some of the steps that excite you about impact? What are some of the highlights of things that you've seen in the business part on the people side? Because let's start, remember, this started with you wanting to help people. So let's take a sub that maybe was super talented that really needed direction. Give me a inspirational type story because I really want people to take that your name of the company, you named it purposefully, impact. You're making an impact. Yeah,
I love this question because the biggest change that I've seen, and I can choose several subcontractors, but the biggest one is that they smile more, they talk to me more.
yeah,
I see them engaging with the builders. I see them creating content on their own, which is something that I wouldn't see before. I like that they'll show up and they're like, "Oh, te mando esto a mi esposa," or "My wife said this," she said something. I like that they'll tell me when their kids are struggling in school. That's the biggest win for us this year is that our subcontractors, our Hispanic community, they're so open-minded now. They speak to us, they show up happy, they tell us when they need something. They're not just quiet and they don't just show up and get the job done, right? They don't show up and they
yeah,
don't turn the
yeah,
music down. When I show up, they're still them. They're happy. They speak to us. That's the biggest win for me as a. I know Oscar has his own, but for me, it has to be that I'm seeing how all of our subcontractors now not only know each other, but they refer work to each other as well, and that
yeah,
they speak to us more. Speaking to us is a big deal because as general contractors, our Hispanic community just gets in, does the job, and leaves. Rarely do you
yeah,
ever know who the person is. And I think when we're working on a multi-million-dollar home, it's important that our subcontractors show who they are, show their personality, show that they're trustworthy,
yeah.
so that they can trust the like the project manager on site, and that synergy there is the biggest win for this year for sure. And it's
Absolutely.
so
And I love, again,
that
I love that. So a couple of things to recap again for people listening is number one, I think again the feeling the need. You said it several times. You're speaking there, which comes back to confidence, which comes back to you guys are building an environment, a community where they feel heard, they feel seen, right? And also you're helping the builders, being the homeowners or the clients that you have that you're meeting that need. So I love that answer, and I could see your joy in sharing that. And I think, like, I agree that I think you're going to just make it that much better for next year because you're getting more confident with the ability of what you guys are building. So now let's take it up a notch and talk to me about a personal challenge, something that you felt at any given time, beginning, middle, or now, and what you're doing. So not so much the business, it can be part because I'm going to ask about the business in a moment. But for you as an individual, as a Hispanic woman doing this, what is or was one of your greatest obstacles?
My age more than anything. My age before I start speaking, because when they first, let's say I'm doing a guest speaker or I'm getting invited somewhere, my age pops up, right? They
Yeah,
associate it with not knowing much, or they're like, oh, she's leading a lot of men, or what does she know about construction, right? It's not until I'm actually
yeah,
on the job site that I actually start speaking. I can speak very well about any aspect of the build, but it's because I've learned it. Like I took the time to learn every single aspect, so I'm always in the know. And when I don't know, I ask
yeah,
questions. But that has
yeah,
been the biggest struggle. My age when I first started, now it doesn't bother me. I rarely even mention it now. But it had to be that, especially because I started working with the bigger builders that were just that knew everyone in the city, right? So when you come in as
yeah,
impact building and it's a woman, and back when I started, I had a couple of my family members helping me because I really wanted to get the word out. And we were all very young, but very good at business. My family has ran several businesses. All my cousins have. So bringing known names in the Austin area was very strategic of me when I started the company because we all moved very well together, but ultimately it was all to push impact building. Mhm.
I love that. I love that, and that's a great answer because it's true. You are young, and which I think is awesome. But it does present. But like you said, I love that you said. But the minute you start speaking, they're like, oh, okay.
He knows a
She
little
she
bit
she
about
knows
it.
what's going on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, that's a beautiful answer, and I appreciate your honesty about that. So, what about now as a business? If you take a look at this last year or a couple years, what do you feel is one of the biggest challenges that people can maybe relate to? And more importantly, what have you done or doing to get through it?
The biggest challenge I believe that every general contractor faces is staying consistently busy. A lot of times when people, I coach a lot of people for general construction as to how to run their company, and what I see is that they go into the company, the business, start hiring a lot of people as their own employees. Think without a strategy, without a business.
They bring them in house.
They bring them in house without a strategy, without a business plan, without a marketing plan. And that's great if you already have your clients and you're consistently busy. But when you're building a business, the biggest key is networking. It's like when you hire a marketing company. A lot of times marketing companies, what I've seen in past experience and clients, is that they'll hire a marketing company because they sell very well, they speak very well, but then they don't ever take the time to see how well connected that marketing company is, if they've been involved in charity events, if they've been involved in sponsorship events or within the community. They don't, no one checks that kind of stuff when they're hiring a marketing agency.
Mm,
And I feel
yeah,
same thing with general contractors. When you're joining a general contracting company, you have to always make sure that that general contracting company is, one, involved in the community, two, has really good connections, and three, is consistently networking. I think that those three pillars for general contractors is what you should look for whenever you're hiring a general contracting company. And I feel like that's what we're aiming to do, making sure that not only are we networking enough for our people, but staying consistently busy is going to reflect back as to how much marketing we do and how well we network. And networking with honesty and
yeah,
making sure that we're good to our people as well. Hmm.
that's solid. I love that, and that's really good advice. Now, as you've had a moment to kind of look at the years of impact, the years of your growth, the years of the things you just shared, I think there's some great answers. So thank you. And I know that people are going to take good from this. Um, you talked about goals, and I love that. But now I always believe in a why. You know, people ask me, Henry, why do you do your podcast? What do you do? What's vibey when that happens? And Brownstone, how are you guys different, right? So I always like to go to the heart, the passion, what really drives us. So now that you have a platform, because you do have a platform, it's a solid one, like you said, you have from your dad's business to your business to your family. There's a lot of moving parts here. How do you feel through your channel with Oscar, through Impact? How do you feel that's going to impact the next wave of business and life for you guys? What is something that you see if you really sit there and go, this is what I see for us? Not so much a goal, but a passion, a why. What do you think that is?
You probably heard this a million times, but everyone talks about their kids. I feel our why and why we do things. I believe it's because we have four different people looking at us all the time. If we pay
Yeah.
attention, our kids do everything that we do. Like you'll see Daniela walking around with the phone sometimes, and just who knows what she's saying, but she's just walking around with the phone. Things that we do all the time.
Yeah.
My daughter's 10 years
Yeah.
old. She's actually going to be a vendor at an upcoming event that we have November 9th, to sell bracelets and sell slime. So I feel like everything
Oh,
that we do,
nice.
she's done this since she was 4 years old. She's done markets, and she'll tell me, buy me some beads. I want to make some bracelets, right? I'll bring her with me to the job
Yeah.
site. She always sells them. Even if they're like, no, I don't need it. They're like, you have a daughter. You can buy one, right? So I feel like
She's a hustler. I love it.
so everything that we're doing, they're watching, and whether they want to take over the business or not, everything that we're doing is going to influence their actions. And I saw that with my dad.
Yeah.
If my dad built a whole empire without a single bit of English, there's no reason why we can't do the same or multiply it. So that's our
Yeah.
why is just let's see how good we can be. I know that I'm a really good version of myself right now, but I want to know what the version of me is supposed to be, and I feel like that just happens over time. It adds up over
Yeah.
time. hmm So that's what we do.
I
It just
love
makes
that.
sure that we can aim to be the person that we're really supposed to be, and that's not going to be next year or the year after that, but over time we'll figure that out.
That's right. Well, the good news is you are young and you do have some time, but you are also maximizing it. So, regardless of age, I do believe, and everything I know about you is that you are bridging that. You are creating something that all your kids and everybody looking up the ladder can go, you know what, I see something there. Like you said, if your dad can do it, like, that's some of the things, regardless of the differences that you guys had, some of the challenges, which is every family. And part of it is that see, people forget that every family has its troubles, every business has its troubles. And part of this platform is to speak about them in a confident way and an assured way that we're going to get through it, even if you're in the middle of it now, because we all struggle with different things, right? But it's how we handle it, it's how we respond to things that changes the game for us. If your kids, like you said, always saw you super upset or never making time for them, then guess what? They're going to resent you. They're going to resent, oh, great, you're going to go to that job again. But instead, you're helping them be a part. You're helping with the American dream. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's how it is. Unfortunately, a lot of times children don't understand that until you make them become involved. As whenever I coach a lot right now for business owners, and I always ask the first question that I ask when I get a man working with me. I'm like, is there anyone in your family that's helping you? Do you have kids that are over 18 that I can speak to, that I can get involved somehow, or do your
Yeah,
kids want to make a little bit of extra money that I can teach them marketing? And I always ask that because I help a lot at here at the Maynard schools, and sometimes you'll ask them, "Well, what does your dad do for a living?" They're like, "Oh, he's in construction." But what in construction does he do? And they have no idea
yeah,
what it is.
yeah,
And for many years, I was the same way. You would talk about construction, I'm like, "Oh, it's just one thing," but it's a million different
yeah,
things. Yeah.
yeah. And I love that. I think that's great. We've covered a lot of good things. Now I want to bring it all in to say this. Like, okay, so now I always like to think of things as a blank canvas because we kind of like your, especially since your son loves the music, right? Because I love music. Half my posts have music attached to them because I love music. It's a good vibe. Um, but now for you guys, as you're coaching, you're doing networking, you're helping people, you're filling in gaps. What is a streamline that you feel that you bring to the table that helps you become the most efficient possible? And I'll give you an example. That's a broad question, but like for me, I plan ahead a lot, right? So I do what's called a 4-2-1. I have a 4-week overview, a 2-week scheduled, and a 1-week detail with each day broken down, right? Obviously available for audibles and changes and sick kids and all the things that of course happen, but I go in with purpose. It allows me to be more intent. So what is a system that you use to, again, manage all the things, home and in business, and keep you excited and motivated?
That's interesting that you say it like that. What keeps me excited and motivated, I feel like every single day in the field that we're in with general construction, every day is different. So I can't anticipate for tomorrow's day because I don't know what's going to come with it. Depending on different job sites, every single day I would wish that everything was perfect at every job site, but sometimes it's not. And as far as construction, that's something that keeps me excited all the time. That I know with bigger
Yeah,
construction projects, challenges come, and that's exciting to me because the goal is to be able to give that person a solution, right? That you can call me and be like, "Hey, Yaritza, can you
yeah,
figure this out?" And we want to be that person
yeah,
for you guys, both at home
yeah,
with our family and in business. And that
yeah,
that keeps us excited because we are involved in a lot of different things and everyone always calls for something. A lot of times I
yeah,
used to have my phone open all the time for phone calls, messages. I've been more strategic as far as using my calendar to schedule phone calls to make sure that I'm not just taking every single phone call all the time. Although I love to do that, I
yeah,
know how much space it takes up in my brain, right? If you ask me a big question and I can't solve it in 30 minutes, I'm going to figure it out and call you back, and then it
yeah,
sidetracks me. So that's a big one. Learning how to use my calendar a lot and prep for every single week just by calling our contractors, just by calling our builders, making sure that we're in line with what's coming up. A lot of times builders don't have like all the T's crossed because they just don't know. They don't know the process. I work with a lot of investors. Investors rely on us a
yeah,
lot as well to make sure that we give them processes and systems. And creating systems with
yeah,
Oscar has been interesting because my husband helps me run a lot of the day to day at Impact, and having a
yeah,
structure that he can follow has been very helpful, especially because he doesn't come from the construction background or so much of a
yeah,
management background. So setting up systems both at home, like the reset deal that we do, with our contractors, checking in all the time, asking them for content when we're not around, because a lot of times I want to post the content that, or I want to record when they're painting or fixing certain things and I'm not around. So just keeping people that are supposed to be responsible for their task weekly accountable. So accountability, scheduling, and just being ready all the time for whatever comes, especially with kids and construction.
yeah. No, listen, you definitely have the most audible type of business of construction. I know, and you're right, because you're depending on people that depend on people, right? So it's a domino effect. However, we don't get paid to acknowledge the obvious. We get paid to create solutions, right?
Well,
We both do, right? And that's the beauty of, and like you said, the excitement. So I think it's great that you're seeing it because look at the goal is to have a plan to go into the day, go into the weeks. Things change, but you're more likely to get to where you want to go with a plan and small changes than just going, well, I'm going to just go with the flow. I'm going to end up over there at some point because that's what's going to separate you and your business and help cultivate the Hispanic culture, like you said, because we joke a lot about, oh, you're on Hispanic time, like because my my because it is different. Cultures are different, but we are in America. In America, business is different, and its timelines and its results and blah blah blah. And a lot of it is good, but I think what you're bringing to it that's refreshing for people is to keep it exciting, joyful, kind, a place where people, like you said, have their music playing and enjoying the day. and then you're helping on the business side of it so they can get paid well for what they do, and it's a win-win. So I think it's great. So I love everything you've shared, and uh, look how fast time flies. And this is why we're going to do a part two, everybody. We're going to do a part two in person in early 2025 with Yaritza. So I'm excited for that because that's going to pose a whole new array of electricity of what we're doing. But everybody gets a chance to ask me a question because at the end of the day, you've been an amazing guest, answering every question very effectively, very efficiently. Thank you. Do you have a question, a comment for me? Because it's only fair that you have a shot.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions, Henry. You know that I always have a lot of questions, but the biggest question that I have for you is I know I see that I see everything that you're building. That's why I'm so gravitated towards your movement. You're very involved not only in Brownstone, but with your family, with your kids, with your podcast. You're one of the only people that I know that's very branded, and branding is everything. Where do you feel your brand is headed to in the next 12 months? Because I know that you have a lot planned, but how do you plan on integrating being in different cities all at once? Because you do a really good job
That's that.
already.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a great question. See, everybody, Lisa's on it, man. She's on it.
I've been thinking. I just see you
um,
do so much, and when you call me, you're like, "Oh, I'm in California now. I'm in Austin." And I remember Oscar told me he was just in California. I'm like, I know. And then even Oscar told me he's like, everyone that you speak to is all over the place, and I was like, because it's possible.
yeah, yeah. It's a great question, and I'll keep it short. I think I try to keep everything I do to cover three key things that matter to me. Number one is that person or the business, is it going to be beneficial to me in what I'm doing? Is it going to help me with my end result, right? That's part of it. The second part is I want to be able to be a blessing or a light of impactfulness, not to use your word, but to that person or business. And the third is I want to be able to tie it in together. And I have a slogan: I'm not here to people please, I'm here to people bless. That's the key. See, because a lot of people please everybody. Okay, and they're right, and I'm not. I want to people blessed because bless is like you sowing into your kids. You're sowing in so one day they're going to be able to learn how to feed themselves, how to go out there and do it for themselves. And that to me is the difference of people pleasing. You're like if your little one, little Oscar's whining about something, let's say like, ah, let's just keep him quiet for a moment. Well, he's going to continue because that's the only way he knows how to communicate. But if you take a moment and say, hey, esto que está pasando, here's something, this is this, not every moment, but you get the theory of it. So for me, Brownstone is my bread and butter. It is my heart and soul in the sense of business. We have a great team, so we can do houses correctly, feel proud, know that we stand by something. So that's my cornerstone, right? From there, my podcast allows me to take people like yourself and get a little bit more raw and get to know each other. And I learn from you as I'm hearing you, and hopefully you learn from me, and then people learn from us. So there that goes in. And the third one is the Vibe and the networking and the referral program, which is going to take finally launching here soon. All that ties in together. So anything I do, whether I'm Atlanta, Utah, all the places I've traveled these last couple months, it has to fit one of those three things. It's blessing my family or my business. I'm blessing the business or the person because it ties in, and it all comes together so that we all can feel good about it. Even the people last Monday that we met, right? Right? I wasn't concerned about the business deal. Whether it happens or doesn't, it's going to take its course. I was hoping, no matter what, that lady could see the sense of value that she should be for herself, that she was kind of left hanging with her family, ¿verdad? So
Sure.
I would hope that no matter what, that she would go, you know what, we're not going to do the deal, but I like what Henry said, and I'm going to take care of myself in a good way. So that's how I see it. See, because I wanted to be maybe an impact for her, because I see a lady that is trying to please everybody, and at the end of the day, she's going to get run down. So, see, that's how I look at those things. So, those three things have helped me be able to now be wherever effectively, efficiently, and hopefully be a blessing. So,
Definitely.
hopefully that helped.
No, that's great because I know, for example, that's why what you do is so needed. People don't like to ask for help, and podcasts like these, people can actually be like, "Oh, I'm in this position right now, and I have no one to ask, or I don't know who to talk to." So I feel like podcasts are
Yeah,
very important, and that's why I feel that people are starting to be more aware of who they are because it's necessary.
yeah,
A lot of great businesses
yeah,
have failed because of the lack of help or the lack of being able to ask for help. And all they needed was a
yeah.
little bit of good energy in order to fix all that stuff.
Amen. Amen. I love that. Well, I really appreciate your question. Beautiful question. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing a big part of your life as far as how you got into this, your family. And this is why this can be a part two, because I know we haven't really touched but I need to do this one in person. So everybody that's good, our next one's gonna be in person, because in person, I want to take it. I'm going to leave people hanging a little bit for part two, because I want to get into real examples, real battles that you've gone through, and go through things where you're like sitting in your car going, I don't know how I'm going to get through it, because like you said, we all go through it. We
Mhm.
all go through it. I became this strong because I've been through so much. So I either can be a victim or I can be a victor. And same with you. But
Correct.
wisdom is for you at a young age to go, wait a minute, if I can save 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, that's like that. It's like not asking for directions, Yaritza, going somewhere you've never been because you're too prideful. And wait a minute, if you would have asked for directions, you would have got there in 5 minutes instead of took you 2 hours.
That's why I
But
hired
like you
you.
said, people
Mhm.
there you go. So thank you for sharing. And that's what I want from this show is I want people, I've had people that got out of jail that have made something. I've had people that battered sick. I mean, you name it. And I hope it continues. So thank you. See, already we're like, that's good, it's good, it's good. Um, thank you, everybody. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed these amazing shares. Again, entrepreneur woman, married, kids, hustling, living the American dream, and working hard at it. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. Look forward to part two in early 2025. And Yisa, muchas gracias to be on the show. And till next time,
Thank you.
thank you, everybody.